Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the third edition of the SPT Speaker Series. And I just want to welcome especially Daniela Holhy Ferraz from Brazil. I met Daniela in 2013 at the first advanced training. We actually were classmates and we studied together for that whole 1 year, 2013, 2014 in New York with Arowana. And Daniela was also working with Arowana in Brazil when they were going to do PFPs with Otto in Brazil. So she already was working with Arowana before that. And since then, at the end of our first advanced program, we became teachers together. And so we are in this adventure of what it means to spread and share the SPT basic program. And she has been doing a lot of that in Brazil and also in Portugal with Vasco, who was here last time. And so we are really, really happy to have her. She has been, she's a consultant and worked with Rio's partners in Brazil. And she has also used SPT there. But today she wants to share with us this new project. I don't know that it's so new. You'll tell us when you started, but I thought it was really interesting. It's called Social Presence Lab. And she's been using a lot of SPT also combined with other modalities. And so I thought it was very curious and maybe helpful for a lot of people that are curious, how could I possibly use SPT and maybe combine with something else? And for what kinds of projects and all that. So Daniela, please tell us and let me know when you want me to start with the presentation. And then after the presentation, we'll have conversation. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm very happy and grateful for the invitation and for you that came and it's with us right now, and for people that will look and afterwards. And I was really in doubt, what could I share? What could be our conversation about? And we started to think together with Mary, and I told her about this, like, yeah, this project that I call, it's a kind of laboratory. I started when in July last year, and it's only it's my place of health and like rebalance and re-energizing and investigation. It's like I started for myself. And yes, and I want to talk a little bit with you about that and what you would like to ask and to suggest and comment, and we follow the conversation as I tell a little bit what is it. You can start, Mary, please.
Okay, so let me get there.
I decided to start talking about how it began. How it began. Well, for our training as advanced practitioners, we need to have a practice group. I had a practice group for years in Brazil, and but in the last year and the year before, it was like diminishing the number of people that would commit to a group that would meet every month or every 2 months, and so will not. I don't know why they won't commit to this periodic meetings. So it was the group was like 10, 12, and at the end I had like 4 people in the practice group, I started to think, oh, it's something is getting different or not wrong, but not exactly what I planned. Well, I'll go back again because Mary put the first slide and the name is, I'll go back a little bit. Social Presence Lab, I put this name. In Portuguese, we use the same word for presencing and for presence. And so the name of the method is Social Presencing Theater, but here I call, in Português, I call presença laboratório em presença social, ou então teatro de presença social. The word is the same, so it's the same idea to have a lab for social presence. And with this aim of exploring ways for regenerating the social fabric. This is the whole 10. Please, Mary, the next one. So it's about the origin, how it began. So I had this issue with the practice group. I wanted to have to follow with a practice group, but it diminished so much. The second one, yeah. And I knew about the Field of Being initiative from Dirk and other people in I think the Core 3 Advanced program. Are you sure, Mary, about that? One group had a prototype for their advanced program. They created a prototype called the Field of Being, and they made a experience in New York, in the park, the Central Park, and I was so inspired by that, and it was in my mind, oh, I'd like to do something in the nature, outside, and in public spaces. So some points are like inspirations, and I put all them in this slide too, because all them are like they came. I knew about all these things more or less in the same time. I don't want to start to mention some kind of social art studio that I didn't know what would be something like that. At the same time, we started the SPT research group and the steering committee, so many ideas, and with this notion of investigation, experimentation, art, practice. And this core idea of the Field of Being is so inspiring to me, that just a place and a time to genuine be oneself with the other, to be human. And all these things was like inspiring me, and I decided I don't want to practice group anymore. I'll start a lab, a space to experiment. And please, if you need to somehow clarification, because my English is, you can see, is not so good. Mary, help me, and you can ask, please.
Wonderful. We will, sure.
Next
Thank
one,
you,
Mary, please. And this first slide, only the frame, and we can go on. So this was the beginning, how it got born, and this why, this motive, this aim was getting clearer and clearer, and it was clear that I like a place to investigate what is social presence while practicing it, not like only practice the exercise of SPT exercises, but to practice the essence, to practice what is like the entre comillas, the results, what we want to achieve with that.
Like,
fabric.
quote unquote, what entre comillas means quote unquote in English. So, like, what does this really mean in the actual practice?
Yes, yes, the feeling of that, and while we are creating that. And I really would like to contribute to this regenerating the social fabric. As you know, last year we had elections in Brazil, and our society is is and is still very polarized. And inside all the families, all Brazilian families, we had the left and right, and people fighting, and old friends getting the worst friends and don't talking anymore. So our society was so and so aggressive and so polarized and so many emotions, and this was so strong for me, how to reestablish and to reweave our social tissue, because we are in a mess, and how to reconnect as human beings, how to have a space where I don't know where your vote was. I don't. It doesn't matter if you vote on this man or this other man. No, we. How can we reconnect as human beings in a completely messy society and messy time we are living here right now? And next one, please. Well, this all these were like the inspiration and how to do that. I also would like to have a more open place to practice and to experiment, because the practice group I had before, I organized before, uh, I thought that people need to commit to some meetings, some gatherings, and only practitioners, only people that many restrictions. And I know, no, now I want to open space. If never heard about SPT, come. If you know just 1 hour before, come. Everyone is very welcome to come and to practice. So monthly meetings, monthly open meetings, 2 or 3 hours length. And with this prototyping mindset, I don't know, I decided that I don't need to know everything. I did not need to plan every detail of the meeting. And so I started from the beginning with this prototyping mindset, and I would iterate and experiment. This was like I need a free space in all this mess in our time in Brazil. I needed a place of freedom, and yes, uh, social presence in theater is the core practice, and a 20-minute dance and the village as core, but also and freedom to create on it. And another point of this how uh, this sensitivity to what was being asked from the field. Well, this month we have this issue of elections. We have the meeting 2 days after elections. So that this is the issue. I could not talk about other things. It was so alive, and people were so with it in their bodies. So this sensitivity was what the last meeting of the year what is, well, we already know this man will be our president, so how to do, what to do with that? The year is ending, another year is beginning. So this sensitivity to what is happening, to plan the meeting, and open to whoever would be interested to come. How it is doing so far? Can you hear? And if you want to make some comments.
Any question or comment, everybody, so far?
Well, let's see the other one.
Okay, this is the next one, Daniela. The what? Or do you want the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first
the one before. Okay.
Yeah. The core of the meeting is not the meeting, but we start with 20-minute dance, but different ways of the 20-minute dance and village, experimenting on that. And each month I always ask what I want to offer as an experience of social regeneration and what I want to test and prototype or learn about. So it's a question these two questions I ask myself to think in the meeting, about the meeting. So everything is like with this prototyping mindset, and we can see some pictures from now on, and you can, Mary, yeah, at the left, the first flyer, and it changed to the right. It began with this name, Embodied Presence. The name was different also. This was the invitation for the meetings in July. I thought to have many meetings in July. We had 2 because of the dates, and I was like understanding who would be interested on that. And at the first time, I tried to understand how to use the tools Ricardo, Dutra, and Arawana were creating, and I would like to learn on that and to experiment on that. So at the beginning, I imagined I would use the tools and with people and learn about that. So these 2 meetings on July last year were with this focus on the tools. Next, please, Mary. So the first meeting in July, this was the group. We started with this embodiment practice, and you can next. And we investigate on the postcards Arawana used in a school in Los Angeles with teenagers, and we decided to use with adults here and see what it resonates. You can see at the left side, one side of the postcard. Well, the idea is working with stuck exercise. Each one has a photograph. The right image is from, I don't know, it's turned. It should be correct, but it turns at the side. After capture 1, we take a picture. This instantaneous picture, and people are given their own photograph, and they are asked what are the questions this image, the feeling of being in the sculpture 1 and looking at the image from looking the photo, what would you say? What this image, this figure, would say to you? So people, this is the postcard tool, and we experiment on that. Next, please. And the same meeting, we made a group talk, and another tool Ricardo developed is like this journey map, and the same instantaneous photos. So, the left side, sculpture 1, right side, sculpture 2, and how to capture the learnings of the journey with these 5 questions. Next. I think now we have many pictures, so I think we can go quicker. This the previous one, Mary, please. After no, the first one, the previous one. Yeah, after July, I understood this. I understood that the aim was not only testing the tools Ricardo and Armando developed, and this idea of lab was clear to me, and I decided to promote and to invite people with this. This is the flyer. So until now, I use this image. It's from our gathering in Cochabamba, this picture in a village situation. And this is the flyer. I put very few words. Mary, maybe you can help me with the translation of the invitation. The invitation is very simple. Curiosity, creativity, choice, connection, singularity, collectivity. And it's also an open invitation to people that resonate with this. Those words come, and this is the idea. Next one, please. This is the August meeting. July also, the 2nd of July. We used this other way of representing the sculptures with tech exercise. Next, please. In August, we experiment a lot with village, and there's this tool that is the static wheel. And next one, please. Again, the village, maybe, I don't know if we can put it bigger. Not only the tool, the static wheel, but we asked question about the well-being in the village, and like trying to do a map that is in the top. I am not so good in recording everything. So in the September meeting, I didn't find any pictures, so it's blank. But we worked on levels of listening and do it, mainly at the core of the meeting. October was the very next day of elections. We worked with polarity, with a mixture of village and field dance. And these words are the two senses of the two polarities. One pose was fear. You can see if you want to come. Yeah, fear, aggression, confusion, turbulence, tiring or pushing. The other pole was hope, expectation, sharing energy observation. And we work a lot on that. Next, please. And I write down almost, it was really an interesting creative process, because at right just before the meeting, I wrote down with my hands a mixture of this new exercise when I mixture field dance, and I don't know if it's possible to. I put only I scanned my handwriting on this. So it's for me really a lab to 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 have ideas and to test them and to make it alive. Next, please. Oh, well, November I have no photos, no pictures also. And you can see we have some meetings, we have many people, some meetings we have 3 or 4 or 5, and that's okay. And this is the last meeting in December. We experiment a mixture of field dance and sea dance in the park, in nature. It was really, really amazing to be in nature. It was like a refreshing end for the year, and it was also a prototype. How would be to bring the lab to a public space? And so I liked very much in the 2 meetings of this year. We was in another public place. Next, please, Nettie. The previous were Parque Ibirapuera, a great park in the middle of São Paulo. This is another place. The meeting of January. You can see this at the left. It's an experiment on do it, sitting, and these places. You can see do it. We have 3 do it, and after that a kind of village in the right. Well, next step is keep prototyping and experimenting and having fun and enjoying with this place of freedom. For me, it's very refreshing and it's energizing. I want to thank Ricardo. He was a partner in the first 2 meetings, and also you that came today, and let's talk about that. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Okay, so let me get out of here. Great. I see the chat was kind of active while you were talking. I want to see if there's I would love to have these questions from the U image. Okay, translated. Okay. I think this is referring to the journey, the U journey.
The original one is in English. I need to translate into Portuguese, but yeah, the original is in English. I am not sure how is this material, how open is it, or I understand it's part of the research Ricardo Arawana are doing, and it's part of his PhD. But I think it can be shared. It's originally in English.
Okay, so it seems like Frida kind of put those questions there. Okay, so Frida, share what surprised you, where the movement started, where did you perceive the change, which are the difference between sculpture 1 and sculpture 2, and how can you apply this to your personal or professional life? And okay, so Lauren says thank you for that. So this is very interesting because this question somehow I think apply to you, because listening to you and all that you've done with this lab, I would love to hear what surprised you. And then, like, for example, maybe where did you see a movement that started or happened in any moment, maybe as you were exploring this? And then if you perceived any change, and if you saw any difference, and if you see how whatever happened somehow applied to you or to the society itself, because I think your intention was to somehow impact the society as you were living with them in the same place. So I don't know if you want to share any of that, Daniela.
Yeah, interesting. Yes, I have this very personal goal and aim on on this lab, and for me it's a place of development, self-development, and also expansion of SPT in Brazil. I was like feeling a little bit alone, and with this, well, how to structure and how to go forward, and I was feeling myself like closing when I had a practice group. Was like, oh, we need to invite only practitioners, and it was like a loop, a vicious loop. So the first thing I realized that how I got more open when I did this. Each month I don't many I I'm very happy when I know nobody that comes. New people. Wow, great. So it's like an exercise for me and to the I think to the field. People don't meet. People don't know themselves before, and they do SPT. Many of them never did before. So it's like a practical way of moving things, and you're already there. You do it. You lay on the with the ants in the soil. Okay, that's okay. So I think I felt some kind of movement, openness and movement, generative and creative movement.
So this is interesting because I would like to hear if somebody feels what's the word, connected, or in a way like have been in the same situation of trying to hold a practice group and somehow notice that maybe people are not coming so often, or maybe that it's been hard to create energy or something. And then what did you do? Did you give up on it? Did you try something different? I would like to hear from somebody over here how, or if you had maybe the idea of holding a practice group and maybe never got to do it. But how are you on that? These are all individual practitioners? Nobody practices in groups?
I can just say something. That I've had a couple of practice groups, and Daniela, I've experienced yes, of there being a number of people to start with and then diminishing. And I've done it in several different ways. But one thing that that I liked was at one point I just, instead of doing an open practice group, once a month, I decided to just invite people to commit to 5 sequential weeks so that we could really focus on sort of developing a vocabulary together. And that worked better. It's still diminished, but there was also a feeling of the people who did come more regularly that we did move forward, and that the practices deepened for people.
Thank you, Annie. Yeah. Well, that seemed to have gone the other way of what Daniela was sharing, which is really interesting also to see different ways of trying to explore how to develop this practice with a group. And does anybody else has any other experience or any question, Frida?
Well, I would like to share my experience trying to do this all activities as a part of first when I was doing the course at ULAB.
We're losing you, Frida.
I was trying to get people. Okay,
now I think you're back.
Yeah, the internet connection is.
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying that I was involved in some practices, and the most challenging thing for me was to sustain the space, because after was said before that people come to do that. This practice is are difficult to agree with that the same time, and a challenge is to sustain that space. I think is the more challenge for me, for my experience. But I also have in mind that I have to be doing that, because in any time some people will come, then will come other and other, and so I think I have the hope that they will will increase in Latin America.
Okay.
No, in America. So I feel that sensation that it will be just to stand, to be there. That's important.
Just to kind of keep going, to hold the space, and then just people will, maybe by the consistency, then people probably will know that it's still there, and then they will keep coming. Mm-hmm. Great. So Rowena wants to say something.
I was going to add to that. I'm sorry, my camera is not working today for some reason. So I was going to add to that many years ago, I also had that kind of experience in another practice. And I learned that your consistency creates the space, and then things unfold. So I liked what Daniela was sharing about, even if it's just her, and she even said, I think that she was happy she could still do and practice. So just reinforcing and also sharing my experience on that. It's not always easy to be totally relaxed about it, but more and more I created that kind of posture of it's okay and go with what there is.
Thank you, Rowena. I have a question. Daniela, you said you had 2 questions that you had for yourself before every session. Would you share those again? They were in the slides, but I thought they were interesting ones.
I ask what is the feeling of what I want to like off in quotes again, entre comillas again.
Yeah, what, quote unquote, what do I want to offer? Is that what you were saying? Okay, what do I want to offer?
Offer in terms of experience.
Okay, to the people that were coming.
Yeah, of social regeneration.
Okay.
More like one by two or more group, one or more collective, or this like to whole frame more or less, and what I want to test.
Okay.
So for instance, at the beginning, the practice group were before the lab, the practice group were at night, because I thought people work all day and they are only free at night. So the first meeting of the lab, I decided, no, it's the first thing I will prototype, I will test. If I had this assumption, but I never did in another time of the day. And all the labs were during the day. Never more I do labs at night.
And people were showing up during the day.
But my assumption was never, no, impossible. People come in during the day or morning or afternoon. No, yeah, they come. People come and people can. What I want to mention that I think it's important about how to sustain that. This is I made an agreement with a friend that has a room, the main room you saw in the pictures, and we decided to make a partnership in terms of the price of renting. I have to rent the room, and I don't know how many people come, and so we made a arrangement that about the percentage. So if 2 people come, or if 10 people come, it's not a fixed price. So it's good because if I rent a room, I need to people need to contribute with money, yes, but I only need to pay some percentage of what I don't need to commit with a whole price if I don't know in advance if I will have people to pay for that. So yes, when the lab is in that room that is rented, we have a price. How can I say it?
Yeah, like people will share. Yeah, people will share the amount of the cost of the room. If there are 5 people, pay a little more. If there are 10, they will pay less.
But when it's in a public place, it's like open for contribution.
Okay.
No price on that.
Okay. And the one interesting thing, and I just want to see if there's any other question, but one thing that I like to kind of almost extract, I think something that seems the most interesting to me is that you're looking at this from a place of prototyping and with the mind of, okay, let me see what my assumptions are, and let me just try maybe something else, and always with the mind of iterating and then learning, what else can I learn, how else can I do this. So I think that and that seems to me to come from a mind of wanting to explore for yourself, and then you open that space of prototyping and exploring for others as well, with the tool that you have. And also I want to mention that a lot of the things that Daniela was sharing are in that link that Frida posted. And also a lot of these things we have access to it because we're teachers. And also Daniela has the good luck that she lives in Sao Paulo with Ricardo Dutra, which is the researcher of the SPT, and he works with Arowana side to side all the time. So that's also a little bit of something that is special to Daniela. But I think that besides that, I think that one thing that is interesting to notice here is this mind of wanting to learn, of wanting to use what I have to see. It's almost like, what is it that I want to do with this? What's the thing in my life that interests me in my environment? For example, for Daniela was the political situation in Brazil, which was really, really big in the moment. So it's that type of thing that we can use these practices and these tools for real issues, for things that are actually happening and that we care and that we just can go and try. So I want to see if we have a few more minutes, maybe 2 or 3 before we close. Is there anybody that has a question or a comment about thinking of yourself, of doing something like this? Any support that we can give you here?
I have a question. So when you talked about weaving in what was going on, like the elections, did you specifically have space to talk about that, or that was an intention that you kept in mind as you were doing the exercises? I guess I'm curious sort of the mechanics of how you incorporated those other pieces.
I'm not sure if I understood the entire question, but I don't. It's not a place to reflect on specific issues. It's like more an embodied exploration, not so like a dialogue place. But we share with some perceptions after practicing. But even in this specific meeting that the elections were so the core of the meeting, we did not so explicitly started a debate or dialogue on that, but we went through another and entering place. It was how was our body that day, how was our relation with that polarities. We was very interesting, specifically this meeting, because the polarities were there. They was in the room most all the physically and the two sides of the room, almost all meeting, and we experiment some kind of exercises with that polarity explicitly in the room, and it was very interesting. But like SPT, we covered different information that was there, but it was not was invisible, and we made visible, and we talked a little bit on that, not too much. I don't know if it was the question, but maybe you can have an idea. But if you need more clarification, please say it again.
Yeah, no, that was helpful. But I think did you say that you were going to be exploring them physically? Like, we're going to be exploring
Yes.
this, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yes. No,
Okay.
no, yes. I explicitly say.
Okay.
And usually I say, well, this meeting I thought to go deeper in this. No, I point what we are going to do, and or in advance or afterwards. Sometimes I propose the experiment before, and after that we talk about.
Great, thank you. That was helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shannon, for that question. I think that's also very helpful for all of us to I don't know, to at least know what everybody else is doing. I want to just mention one comment that Christine made in the chat, and Christine said, I was fascinated by the addition of analyzing photos of self in sculpture 1 and 2 and photos of group in sculpture 1 and 2. That plus diagramming using circles to think about spacing and drawing the body in the positions. Yes, those are things we use when we teach the basic programs as well, and when we do the advanced training with Arowana. So those are, and those are things that Ricardo in his research kind of comes up with, these different ways of, because what we learn the more we do SPT is that how can we create different ways for us to talk about what is happening from a different point of view, not so much from the story of what happened to us, but more from learning to see the dynamics of the relationships from a place of seeing ourselves from the outside, from seeing the system, kind of that thing of turning the camera back. So he basically came up with a lot of different ways of doing this. And this is making me think a little bit, maybe in the sessions that we do the third Tuesday where we practice. I don't know if it's possible to integrate some of this, but this could be a way of maybe sharing some of that as well. So the time is up. Let me see. Yeah, we got to the hour. And this is fascinating, Daniela. I want to thank you really, really for everything you share, and also for knowing, I know the effort of trying to speak a language that is not yours and that you don't speak every day. So this is like extra thank you for really, I mean, this for everybody else, this shows the love that these people put in actually practicing and taking these tools and sharing it with others. And the same, with Laura, and Vasco, is like the other day I was thinking, I'm just inviting everybody that English is not their first language, but I really hope you guys get some a good amount of learning from these people that are really using this, and they're coming here to share with us just because they love what they do. And so, as always, I would like to end with the word of what are you taking with you? How this impacted this hour and this learning and this conversation? In what way are you maybe taking something that will help you with the next thing you're doing, or with maybe seeing yourself or what you do in a different way? And we can share one word, you can say it, or you can write it in the chat, and I will share it with everybody, and that way we will change. I will post this in the YouTube channel so you can re-watch it if you want. And I will try to send you the slides that Daniela was using as well, but they're in Portuguese, so I don't know how much, some of it. Anyhow, let's go with the words. What are we taking with us? I think somebody just wrote something in the chat. Research is for me the word, Frida. Thank you, Frida. Where else are you taking in dedication? Lauren, thank you. And Daniela, you're welcome to share a word as well.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, thank you. Opening from Annie. Permission and hope from Shannon, thank you. Yes, that's actually what we were hoping, for people to feel permission to go and just do something and use this and see and practice. From Rowena, I understand Portuguese, so I'm happy to have the presentation. Okay, great. Okay, Frida, maybe it is more like research. Thank you. Another focus in the search. Wow, that's wonderful. Learning from Christine. Okay, and open up to experiment. Rowena again. Okay, so my word is, there's something about, yeah, it has to do with like prototyping, with this like almost openness to play. I feel that's a prototyping that it gives you this permission. Oh, I'm prototyping. So it doesn't have to be perfect because it's a prototype. Yes, I would like to offer that prototyping. So anyways, thank you very much. And I will see you next time. Next Tuesday, we are having the working with the interior condition of the intervener. And then everything else. So nice to see you, and you're always welcome to contact me if you have any question or anything, for including even for Daniela. Bye bye. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you. Bye bye.